Tower defense games were a staple of the Flash game era. That being said, I can't name a single one of them other than Bloons Tower Defense. Or, sorry, Bloons Tower Defense. We are currently on BTD6, which I haven't played for myself at all, so before even thinking about covering that game for the channel, let's go back and play these games. I actually like these games, they're not bad. Shout out to Koba for suggesting that I cover BTD6, even though I had the script ready way before he ever suggested that. I wonder if Kopa roots for the Bloons in this game because they're bald like him. Is this Bloon Kopa? Tell me in the comments down below which of these games is your favorite and which is your favorite tower. Also comment, GOAT. Tower defense games are generally about three things: what, when, and where. What tower to buy, when to buy the tower, and where to place the tower. And Bloons 1 is no exception. First, we have the what. You could, in theory, buy nothing but dart monkeys and place them everywhere to win, but that's boring and kind of lame. These games are a lot more interesting when you try to figure out what you can get by with. Do I need to place 5 monkeys as soon as possible? Or can I last a while with simply 2 as long as I place them in the right positions? You get money from popping balloons and at the end of each round. Since there's a set amount of balloons to pop, this means that there's a predetermined amount of money that you can get in the game. This is where the when comes in. Do I spend my precious money on more dart monkeys now, a dart tower, or should I wait a few rounds to try to get a super monkey? Will I even be able to hold out until then, or am I just throwing the game by not buying more towers now? Then there is the where, the most important part. Okay, maybe not the most important part, but it's very important. You generally want to double up in this game, placing the tower where it can hit 2 different parts of the track at the same time. Well, not at the same time, but you know what I mean. At least you want to do that early on. Later, it is better to place them where they can just focus on one part of it. Generally speaking, of course. Towers in this game will always target the balloon that's farthest away from them or the one that's closer to the exit. So they can get distracted in a sense by that. Now, unlike PvZ, this game doesn't lock you to a grid, meaning you can place things wherever you want for the most part, and if you're using the right-click glitch, literally wherever you want to. Looking back at my footage, I really made a mistake here by not placing any towers in this area to attack the balloons. Not doing so gives them time to get closer to the exit without being bothered at all, which there's just no point in doing that. Not only that, but it can create a chain reaction of my towers up here suddenly focusing on something else and letting more balloons get past them. Eventually, I could lose the game. So, this is the whole game. What you see here is the whole game. One single track, no difficulty selection, 5 towers for you to choose from, and 6 different types of balloons. This might make you think that the game is giga easy, but no. If you aren't paying attention to what you're doing, you will lose lives and you will lose them very quickly. Now, it's not a one and done deal like in PvZ, but you only have 40 balloons that can pass you before it's over. Alright, now let's get into the towers. First, we have the dart monkey, the bread, butter, steak, and dessert of this game. This is going to be the tower you use the most. It has a decent speed, decent range, it only costs 250 bucks, which is kind of pricey in this game actually, and only has 2 upgrades. Piercing darts, which will let you pop 2 balloons at a time, and extra range. Because of the limited amount of towers in this game, the piercing dart upgrade is going to be a big help, especially if you place the monkey facing the same direction as the track. If you don't do so, then sometimes the monkey can miss or only hit 1 balloon at a time, which then negates the piercing dart effect in its entirety. It's kind of boring to just use these guys, but it's a pretty easy way to win, and also, again, there's just not a lot of towers in this game. Each tower can be upgraded 2 times in this game. Most of the upgrades are either an upgrade to how many balloons they can pop or range for the most part, so we're not going to go over all of them because it's just there's no really need to. Next, we have the tack tower, costing 400, which is a little pricey for it as well, but yeah. This will shoot out tacks in 8 directions. It has a very small range, so once a balloon gets past it, I mean, that's it. It can do nothing else to it. But while it's in range, it will hit any balloon that it manages to hit, not just one at a time, making it especially good if you place them around curves. I like curves. You can increase its speed and its range, but it's really just best to increase the speed or just focusing on placing more of these down rather than trying to increase the range of it because it's such a short range anyways. This is one of my favorite towers in the game. Again, it's just really good for placing around the curves or places where it can hit two parts of the track at the same time. Next is the ice tower, the one that you probably won't use. It freezes balloons for a short period of time. While they're frozen though, they can't be popped unless you use a cannon. I put this in the corner to give the other towers some time before they had to deal with these balloons here. However, I don't really know if that even was really doing anything. This thing really isn't that useful. Other towers will still target frozen balloons even though they can't pop them, so unless you have a cannon placed nearby this thing, it can be kind of a waste of time to even try to use this. Speaking of the cannon, or bomb tower, costs $900, which is crazy expensive, but does a decent amount of splash damage. If it was cheaper, I would use it a lot more, but just $900 is it's just too much. Finally, we have the Super Monkey. The Super Monkey is what it sounds like. It's a dart monkey that is super turned up. I'm pretty sure the people that made the game that just took the dart monkey and literally like upped the numbers. It's the fastest tower in the game and costs the most at 4,000. But in this case, it actually makes sense. It's not an auto win tower or anything like that. It's not gonna just completely annihilate everything after you get it, but it is really great to have, especially if you can get more than just one of these guys down at a time. Now, in terms of balloons, we have red ones, blue ones, which will turn into red ones once popped, green ones, which will turn into blue ones once popped, yellow ones, which will turn into green ones once popped, black ones, which will split into two yellow ones when popped, and finally white ones, which will do the same as the black ones. From red to yellow, each balloon will be faster than the last, with the exception of the black and white ones. I think those are about the same as something. I don't know. Actually, now that I say that and looking back at the footage, they didn't seem as slow as I had remembered. I think that might be something from the other games. Black ones are immune to the bomb tower, and the white ones are immune to being frozen, which makes the black ones a way bigger threat. Shout out AJ. Sadly, there isn't really much more to say about them. They just come at you at a steady pace, more or less. Sure, there are two balloon types that counter certain towers of ours, but I mean, the bomb tower is too expensive to be widespread, and the other one's the ice tower, which is basically a joke. So yeah, the enemies in this game, they're not that interesting. They don't have to be though. I don't really think it's a problem. It is really satisfying to pop the balloons in rapid succession like this. The bomb tower though does kind of ruin it with the loud sound it makes. There are 50 rounds you have to get past in order to beat the game. I ended up having 4 super monkeys on the field at the end with little to no effort. Sorry, 5 actually. I would say this game isn't too hard if you know what you're doing and you do it well. It's also the simplest in the series though, so there really isn't that much of a reason to come back to it ever. Luckily though, the game wasn't too simple to not warrant it getting a sequel. Kind of. Bloons 2 feels more like an expansion to the first game rather than a proper sequel. Makes sense though, since these are Flash games, you can't exactly update these games the same way you could with other ones. This time we have 3 different tracks to choose from, each being a different difficulty level. The track itself isn't the only thing that changes the difficulty. Now towers are priced depending on the difficulty. The Super Monkey is only $3,600 on easy, but on hard it costs a little over $4,100. The Bomb Tower, or cannon rather, now only costs $520, which just makes it a whole lot better. We really only have one new tower. The Boomerang. Wow, they didn't even call this guy the Boomerang Monkey. It's a straight up boomerang. He has a pretty big range, but attacks slower than the normal dart monkeys do. He has his multi-target upgrade, which is pretty cool. Lets him pop more than just 2 balloons at a time with his boomerang. He also has this supersonic upgrade, which will pop frozen balloons, which is kind of neat, I guess. He has a really good tower later on, but early in the game, you really should just stick with normal dart monkeys at first. They will cost less and their attacks go straight, whereas the boomerang has this little sweeping pattern, which can sometimes miss single balloons that pass them by, which which kind of sucks. We have two other options as well, but these aren't actual towers, they're more like road hazards. Road spikes can be placed onto the track and will stay there until 10 balloons are popped. Very useful for those balloons that tend to slip by. I will note though that you can only place one of them at a time, and then you have to reselect it from the little menu on the side, so you can't panic place these things like you can in later games. And we have the monkey glue, which will slow down 20 balloons. This one is very, very useful. It almost feels like cheating using it though, so I stupidly sometimes didn't when I really should have. It's part of the game, I'm spending money by using them, so, you know, I really should have no reason not to. This game is noticeably harder than the first. The boomerang are the meta. They make things a lot more manageable. Even if you have what seems like a really good setup, you can still lose very quickly. I'm guessing they did this because of how easy the first game was to just spam dart monkeys. I'm pretty sure even one of the little text blurbs says that you can beat the first game with just dart monkeys, but you cannot do that with this game. So yeah, here we have to use most of the towers, or at least more than just the dart monkey. We also have two new balloon types. First, the rainbow balloon, which will have 2 white and 2 black balloons inside of it. And the lead balloon, which needs to be hit by a cannon to pop it. They will release 2 black balloons, so they start off needing to be hit by the cannon, but then they immediately become immune to it, which is a pretty nasty trick on their part. You could beat the first game and only have one single bomb tower on the field. Here though, you're gonna need a whole lot of them, which is probably why they lowered the price so much. The first track is pretty forgiving. It winds back on itself enough times. You can place your monkeys here and be able to hit most of the track. Place one right here and it can hit the start and towards the end of the track at the same time, which is pretty useful. It's simple, but things can still go pretty wrong. The second track is even simpler in design, only having a few turns, mostly being vertical lines. What makes this track hard is the lack of overlap here. Sure, you can still place your monkeys in the middle, monkey in the middle, but they won't have as much time to pop the passing balloons. Not only that, but remember, towers cost more money here, so those two factors make this map harder to beat. You also have less health on this track. I had to look up a strategy for this one because I kept on trying and I just was getting nowhere. Oh, and even after I knew what strategy to use, I still ended up losing because I wasn't paying attention. Fun. I could have called it there. I was at the very end, but you know, I wanted to actually beat the level for the video, so I did it over again. Which reminds me, the Super Monkey got a damage upgrade this time, which he didn't have in the first game. The laser vision. This was the only time I actually got it. I can't tell the difference, but I trust that he's popping even more balloons with this thing on, but I really couldn't tell visually if he was doing a lot better with this or not. I will say I really like this little hallway of death I made. It's pretty cool seeing how they get destroyed by going down there. Finally, we have a track 3, the hardest track by far. Balloons come at you from 2 separate directions. This doesn't seem like it's that big of a deal, but take into account the fact that everything costs way more in this track, you have even less lives than before, and the limited places where you can properly double up your towers. You can lose very, very quickly in this one. Once again, cannons and boomerangs are the meta here. Not only that, but placement can make or break you in a single round. You want to try to keep things balanced since they're coming from 2 directions, but also want to keep in mind cross point. This point here in the middle, not the middle, but where the 2 lines converge. This is very important. Even after I looked up the strategy, because again, I could not figure this one out for myself. Even after I looked up the strategy, I still had to do it a few times, not just one more extra time, a few times. And again, even after I knew it, look, I still had to place down 17 cannons. 17! I beat the first game with 1, and I still had to use road spikes. I didn't even get to place a super monkey on this track. It's crazy. So overall, Bloons 2 is more of the first game, but different and a bit harder, and by a bit harder I mean a lot harder. I don't think the average Bloons enjoyer would have much fun with this one, unless they don't care about actually finishing the game and just want to try things out, and if they lose then that's what it is. I myself had the most fun on the last track, but also the least amount of fun was had on that track as well. Which sounds like it should be impossible, you know, it's contradicting itself, but no, it somehow is still possible. Finally beating the track felt great, but the failed attempts to get there really sucked. But anyways, if you're gonna spend time on a classic Bloons game, it's most likely not gonna be 1 or 2. Bloons 3 feels like a proper sequel. We have 8 tracks to choose from. Each can be played on whatever difficulty we want to now. They're not tied to the tracks themselves. We got 2 new towers, 1 new track hazard, and every tower has gotten new upgrades. This is the ultimate classic Bloons game. It also feels a lot more like a proper game. The first 2 games really did feel like browser games, with this one having enough content and depth to feel like a high-end browser game. Not to knock those types of games or anything, but you know, it really does still have that Flash game feel. By the way, sorry for the footage of the first track. I recorded it not having checked OBS because I just assumed that, you know, Bloons 2 and 3 have the same aspect ratio because 1 and 2 did, so why wouldn't 3 have it? No, it's a bit different, just slightly different enough to be cropped, so yeah. And then I re-recorded some footage months later, but then forgot to like maximize the window, so it's just blurry because I played it while it was a smaller window. So yeah, I didn't feel like playing this track for the 3rd time, so yeah, some of the footage you see here is going to be cropped or blurred. Leave your complaints in the comments down below. So we have 8 tracks here. I only did the first 3 on medium and the rest I did on easy just because I didn't want to take too long doing this video. And you know, Bloons 2, I had to redo the tracks a lot, so I didn't want to do that for this one. The first new tower is the Spike-a-Pult. A very fun tower to use, especially if you place it at an end of a long straight run of track. In this game, you can actually influence which Bloons the tower will target, being able to set them to target either the first or the last.
I am the first and the last, I am he that liveth and was dead, and behold, I am alive evermore, amen, and have the keys to hell and of death.
There's your Bible reading of the day.
This means that towers like these can maximize their balloon popping potential by having them focus on balloons in the back rather than balloons in the front. Because, you know, it can get distracted. If it's focusing on the back, it's always going to be pointing down this line, always hitting the max amount of balloons. You can upgrade this thing to have it launch 3 spike balls at once and throw them further to hit even more balloons with one single attack. I absolutely love this thing. It's a bit pricey on harder difficulties. Past around round 40, it really isn't the best thing ever. It kind of falls off around that time. But that's just because of the sheer amount of balloons that the game throws at you at that point. But, you know, before then, it's really good. Now we can see a pop counter for each tower, and this guy always has a bunch of pops because, you know, it's just really good. I kind of wish he didn't lose the little monkey operator once we upgraded him, though. I like seeing him there, but then he's gone, which is kind of sad. Next, we have the Monkey Beacon, our first non-attacking tower in the series. I guess, okay, that's actually a lie. I just realized the ice tower doesn't do damage, but the ice tower is stupid. It doesn't count. The Monkey Beacon will increase the attack range of towers that fall under its own range. It's not that big of a change, but you know, everything helps. Where this tower really shines, though, is in its incredibly good upgrades. It can increase the attack speed of everything that falls under its range, and you can also unlock a screen nuke called the Monkey Storm. This will take out every balloon on screen except for the new Moab. This might seem like an overpowered ability, only costing $800 on easy to actually use after you unlock it, but that is not the case. The game compensates for you having this ability. Not in real time, but I mean from like a design standpoint. Even on easy, if you don't have this thing at the ready, you will lose. The game throws so many more balloons at you than they did in the first 2 games. Now yes, you do have these incredibly powerful towers now in the new upgrades, like the attack shooter, which will shoot out buzzsaws, or the new boomerang upgrade, which will have the monkeys throw glaives, whatever these things are called, that shred through more balloons at once. And this new plasma vision for the super monkey it's just incredible. So yeah, all of these are extremely powerful, but they're not going to be enough at times. Even just the normal super monkey doesn't seem to be that great in this game. Every time I had him on the field, I never felt like, oh yeah, I finally got a super monkey down, so now he's doing work. No, I never felt that at all. The plasma vision upgrade that he gets is kind of like that. It kind of feels like the old super monkey where you get that and it's like, okay, I can feel a difference, but the normal super monkey ain't a game changer. It doesn't feel like that, at least. So yeah, get the Monkey Storm, have it ready, and get ready to use it because you're gonna need to use it sometimes. I'm sure you can beat the game without having this thing. I never tried to. I think maybe once I did. and it was a struggle. So yeah, get the Monkey Storm. It's really good and pretty necessary. I really like the new cannon design with the camouflage. It goes really well with the buzzsaw tack shooter new design, which by the way, these things are insanely good in this game. It's just, wow, it's really hard not to just use these mostly. Like, yeah, I understand why people wouldn't use tack shooters in the first two games, especially the first one, but the first two games. Here, though, you gotta use them. They're too good not to use. The cannon has this funny glitch where if you upgrade it to the fast missile, it just stops making explosion sounds. Which means it's the best upgrade in the game because I didn't really like the explosion sounds. Speaking of balloons though, we have two new ones, Brown and the Moab. Brown are what would later be called ceramic balloons because, you know, that's really what they are. They aren't just brown colored, they're ceramic. Taking 10 hits to pop, this is the normal balloon that has the most amount of health in the series up to this point. Popping them releases two rainbow balloons, so they are pretty dangerous. However, there is one even greater than it. The Moab, the mother of all balloons. This thing has 200 health according to the wiki. I don't know what that means in relationship to pops or hits, but this thing has 200 health according to the wiki, and it will release 4 brown balloons. It takes a lot to break this thing. I could never do so comfortably under normal circumstances. It was never just like a chill thing where it's like, oh, here comes a Moab, but that's okay. My setup is so based that I don't even have to worry. No, I was always sweating when the Moab showed up. I mostly had to rely on this new pineapple thing where you can place on the track and it will explode. I had to use those to blow this guy up. Even though I always had a decent amount of cannons on the field, it can never blow this thing up fast enough. We have 8 tracks in this game, and they're all pretty distinct from the ones we had in the first 2 games. Take the first track, for example. Look how it turns and curves all over the place. I really don't like this track that much. I think there's too much track and not enough space to actually place down towers. You really have to squeeze them in there. Boomerangs are pretty good here, I guess. Tack shooters even more so. But yeah, visually, I don't like this track either. It just looks kind of ugly to me. I don't know. The second track is very similar, but it's a lot more tame. Since it's smaller, it's easier to double up and to have it be impactful. But since the track is smaller, that means there's less time for them to reach the end, which is worse for us. I do like this one a bit better, but I'm not a biggest fan of the brown color scheme that's going on here. It's like a chocolate thing, or is this like a road? I don't know. It doesn't look good. This one is very familiar though. This would fit right in with the tracks from the first 2 games. It has this nice long run at the very start, which is really good for placing a spike-a-pult on either side. Though to place one here, I'm pretty sure you have to use the right-click glitch. This track took me a few tries. Even after I had a boatload of glaive monkeys, I still couldn't beat it. Compare this setup to the one that I actually beat the track with. It seems to make no sense, right? Well, that's the power of the Monkey Storm for you. Next we have this ice track. It's very simple, balloons coming at you from 2 different tracks. It's kind of like track 3 from the second game in that regard, but here everything is condensed a lot more, so it's a lot more manageable. This was probably one of my favorites to play through. The spike-a-pults end up covering a lot of ground once you fully upgrade them because of how short the track is. I'm guessing this track felt easier to me because this is the one I started to play on easy as opposed to medium, but I really don't care. It was really satisfying just to, be able to buy things earlier and just destroy these balloons. I even got a Plasma Vision Super Monkey on the board before free mode, which is pretty dope. Oh yeah, free mode. After round 50, you can keep on playing in this game. There is no point to do so, but you can do it just as a self-imposed challenge. It is kind of fun, but I generally don't last more than like 2 or 3 rounds after I hit 50. That's mostly because the game starts to send a lot of Moabs, though I think it is random, so your results may vary. This is also where I noticed that the range indicators aren't perfect circles. I noticed this by looking at the Super Monkey with the increased range. The range indicator got so big that I could tell that it's moving around when he's looking around, which it shouldn't if it's a perfect circle. Next track is this cute cookie monkey thing. Don't have too much to say about this one. The fact that the track starts by going down and then going up near the same area means you can place most of your towers in this general area. Also, the exit isn't too far from the entrance either, so the same thing applies. This is one of those tracks where most of it is actually places you can set up towers, the track itself just being this white part, so, you have most of the track. It's kind of like the inverse of the first track. Track 6 is this neat lava track, with balloons coming from 3 different entrances, converging in the middle to then go out the same exit. This was another fun one for me. The space to place towers isn't the best, so I ended up cheating and placing the monkey beacon on the track itself with the right-click glitch. I mentioned this a few times, so I'll go ahead and explain it. You gotta hover over a place where you could place a tower normally, right-click, and then left-click wherever you want to actually place the tower, and it will place it there regardless of whether you can or not. So yeah, you can't see me actually right-clicking here because of how I use OBS to capture this, but you right-click, and then you get the little drop-down menu. So yeah, I used it here because, it was just the best place to place the beacon, and, it's not attacking anything, it's just helping the other towers. So yeah, I cheated, but who cares? It was fun. I really enjoyed this track. Having the balloons converge to this one point is pretty cool. It made it kind of fun. I probably could have used the tack shooters more here, but whatever. Track 7 is my favorite when it comes to looks. I really like this little circuit board kind of thing. It has very limited space on where you can actually place your towers, but the track will have the balloons go around a few times before they reach the exit. The spike-a-pole, boomerang, all really great for this track. Boomerangs especially, since the track really just doubles and triples up a lot. I did end up losing the first time though, which sucks. Guess what fixed that? Also, look how perfect this super monkey fits in here, his little range thing. I mean, it's not exactly perfect, but it's close enough. Yeah, this is a fun track. Pretty dope theme as well. Like it. The last track is my least favorite one. It's very similar to the last one from the second game in terms of how it plays out. This time we have 3 different entrances and 3 different exits, all converging around this area, then splitting off and going into different directions again. I had to look up a strategy for this one. I tried a few times and nothing was working. I think I got to like round 30 and then it just all fell apart. And even then, getting to round 30 was a struggle. I was never in a comfortable situation, even on easy. And even after I looked up the strategy, I lost because I didn't press the monkey storm fast enough because I was stupid. And yeah, I just really was not a fan of this one. So that's the third game. It's the best of the 3, no challenge. Like 2 can't compete with this thing. This is the best one by a lot. The first game set the foundation, the second game kind of expanded upon that, and the third game really expanded upon that, which makes it an epic win. Yeah, these 3 games were pretty fun. 3 obviously was a lot better than the other 2, but they were all pretty fun to play. It's a pretty slow YouTube season. Apparently everybody's been getting low views, and I am no exception, unfortunately. The last 4 videos that I've released have not done very good in comparison to the first half of the year, which sucks, kind of sad, kind of depressing. But nevertheless, we'll keep on uploading unless we stop. I don't remember who it was, but somebody said to not delete the channel, so we're not deleting the channel just because that person said so. So yeah. Don't know what the next review is going to be. I'm already getting footage for Bloons 4. Bloons. You can barely hear the difference. Already recording footage for that, so maybe that'll be the next one if this one does good enough. If not, then I should probably review, or not review, but do that short video on my first thoughts of Metroid Prime, the remake, because I got that to do that, and then I just never did that video because I forgot. So yeah, also, I need to review the Turtles game, Shredder's Revenge. That's another game that I said I was going to do that I have just forgotten about. So yeah, I want to do Mario, but I tried to play it on emulation, and I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe Mario World isn't as good as I remember, because it just felt off. Maybe Mario 3 has tainted my brain in some sort of fashion, so I don't know. I actually bought a Super Nintendo Mini Classic, one of those little consoles that has a whole bunch of games on them. But after I bought it, I realized it said 1-to-1 clone on it on the eBay thing. I went, oh no, I bought a fake. So I luckily was able to cancel it. But then instead of buying a real one, I just went ahead and bought the pre-ordered the Pokemon game for Switch 1 because I don't have Switch 2. So I'm going to make a video out of that when that comes out to see how bad it is on Switch 1. Maybe it's not bad at all. Maybe it's just fine. I got a feeling though in my gut that it's not going to be just fine and it's going to be all over the place. Can I mimic a slow frame rate with DaVinci Resolve? I don't know. I think I did that one time with a different program. Maybe. So we'll see. It's probably not going to work. I don't know. Anyways, back to normal frame rate if I could figure out how to do that. Thank you for watching. Hope you all enjoyed. Peace out.